Well on the shows.
Okay, can't seem to get in, so I will have to use my iPad, but the sound is not very good on my iPad, so I will do my best.
We can see and hear you very clearly, Bronwyn.
Okay, thank you.
All right, councillors, we all good, Travis?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the July ordinary meeting, and thank you for your attendance. I'd like to pay my respects, acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and to any other elders from other communities that may be with us today. Thank you. Receipt of apologies.
Yes, Mayor, through you, Councillor Stewart, is an apology this evening.
Thank you. Item 3, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council adopt the minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, 14th of June, 2023, and council adopt the minutes of the council meeting held on Tuesday, 27th of June, 2023. Could I have a mover for those, please? Councillor Hogan, a second to Councillor Warren. Any discussion? All in favour? That's carried. Request for leave of absence. Councillors, I have a request for leave of absence received from Councillor Carolyn Stewart, Lower Avoca Ward, for the period of 1st of July 2023 until the 31st of December 2023, exclusive for reasons as provided to councillors. Councillors, the Mayor wants to make a comment to go on record. I make comment on this request, which I would like to be recorded in the minutes of tonight's meeting, and refer to clause 8 of the Municipal Councillors Ministerial Guides 2015, the guidelines, which details duties of a councillor. A councillor being absent from their role and duties as defined in the guidelines for a substantial period of time leaves the constituents feeling unrepresented and requires other councillors to pick up the increased workload and address the lack of ward coverage. Council notes Councillor Stewart's reason for the request. However, given the inherent requirements of the role as per the guidelines previously mentioned, and the fact that an extended absence means that these requirements are not met, I'd like to put the following motion: that council refuse the request for leave of absence from Councillor Stewart commencing 1st July 2023 and concluding on the 31st of December 2023 exclusively. Could I get a mover for that, please?
Order, Mayor.
Councillor Warren.
My understanding is you can't move a motion from the chair.
Through the Mayor, my understanding is that the Mayor has just presented the motion and asked for someone to move that motion.
I just think that perhaps if he was willing to do that, he would have to vacate the chair.
I haven't actually moved the motion. I've called for a mover of the motion.
Yeah.
A mover of that motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Milne. A seconder, please. We don't have a seconder.
I'm happy with it. Second it to have a discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Hogan. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A difficult situation we find ourselves in, talking about a fellow councillor. I guess the consideration that we must have here is that when we make our decision, that we do take into account the reasons that have been given to us. But I guess the situation has got to the point where I think the absentee of this particular council is causing concern among quite a few. And I guess while it's with a lot of mixed feeling about just where we go with these whole things, I mean, I can't but help think that other options are probably better for the council, which I'm not prepared to elaborate on. But I don't think that the council and the ratepayer can accept the situation of 6 months, a further 6 months leave of absence, and have the opportunity to be represented well and truly by that person elected. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Ho?
No, I don't wish to add any further discussion.
Any other?
Mayor, I'd like to move an alternative motion.
Thank you, Councillor Warren.
Mayor, I'd like to move that council approves a provisional leave of absence of Councillor Stewart from the 1st of July 2023 to the 8th of August 2023, both dates inclusive. 2, council writes to Councillor Stewart to clarify her intent to claim a council allowance during the remainder of her requested leave of absence as per section 39(5)(c) of the Local Government Act 2020. 4, the council to reconsider this request for a leave of absence at its August meeting once they have further information.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Councillor Warren moved that. Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. You can't have two motions on the table at once. We've got to get rid of one before we get the second one in. Because the second motion is not an amendment.
Not an amendment, right, thank you. How do we handle this one? Do we go for a vote on the first motion?
Alternative.
That's not an alternative.
We've got a motion moved and seconded on the table. And Councillor Lawrence just moved a second motion.
Great.
And we've got to dispose of one before we can start the second one. Safety foreshadow motion.
So put it to the vote.
The second motion,
The first motion.
first motion.
All right, councillors, after discussion with the first motion, which is
I'd like to say a bit on the first motion too, Mr. Mayor.
certainly.
I'm not happy with this at all, mainly because it started off as a work cover incident. One thing is, what have we done as a group of councillors to try and sort this work cover incident out? And following the advice of her wellbeing and medical team as per the email that come this afternoon, because that was the first time I'd seen that type of thing. Why are we doctors? I'm not a doctor. I can't give professional advice like that. So I believe that we should be accepting the Councillor Stewart's request.
Councillor Pollard, Councillor O'Toole, would you like to comment on that?
No, I have no comment to make on that matter, Mayor. If there were any other speakers to that motion, then call on them.
Councillor Simpson, would you like to comment?
I feel that Councillor Stewart has had considerable leaves of absence, and I feel that in the statement that you've made, which is that it puts extra burden on other councillors, I think that we need to consider these points.
Thank you. Right, a reply, Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I probably wholeheartedly agree with some of Councillor Pollard's comments in that no, we're not doctors, we're not qualified to make a call on Councillor Stewart's health, and I would never dare do that. I think that if there's issues there, I fully understand what she may well be going through. I think, in my opinion, the best thing would be just to rid ourselves of all this worry once and for all. But her request is for a leave of absence for 6 months. And on that request, at this point in time, I can't agree with that.
Councillor Hogan, do you want to reply? Or don't get one, sorry. All right, I will put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Simpson, yep, I can see your hand up there. Those against? 3-2 and you're abstaining.
I'm abstaining. I have never served as council. Not
That's
party to
Stuart.
Stuart, yes, sorry. And have never, don't really, I'm not familiar with the circumstances.
So that motion is carried. Councillor Warren, I'm sure how we deal with yours.
Well, it's never said. If voted on the first motion, so it's the first, Mayor.
So that motion, thank you. Thank you, councillors. It was difficult and it's been difficult for a long time and probably will continue that way. Item 5, declarations of pecuniary and conflicts of interest in accordance with section 130 2 of the Local Government Act 2020. Councillors who have a conflict of interest in respect of a matter being considered at this meeting must A, disclose the conflict of interest in the matter required by the Council's Governance Rules 2020 and B, exclude themselves from the decision-making process in relation to that matter, including any discussion or vote on the matter at any council meeting or delegated committee and any action in relation to the matter. Disclosure must occur immediately before the matter is considered. Councillors, any conflict of interest at this stage?
No.
Not
Thank
that
you.
I'm aware of.
Thank you. Item 6, questions from the public, which I believe we have one.
We do, Mayor, thank you, and through you. We have a question from the group known as Council Watch, and the question is as follows. Can Council please advise the dollar amount of cost shifting from state government they estimate they incurred in the 22-23 financial year? Mayor, through you, we received this question yesterday. We haven't had the chance to do the work on that, so I'd like to be able to take that question on notice. We'll provide a response to Council at the August meeting.
Thank you. Item 7, procedural item 7.1, a report of councillor assemblies. A recommendation that the council note the report of council assembly meetings held the 7th and 21st of June 2023. Would somebody care to move that, please?
Happy to do that, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, and a seconder. Councillor Milne. Any discussion?
No.
No, nobody was against. I'd take that as carried. (7.2) correspondence initiated by council, Office of the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Proceed report just highlighting the correspondence that we've sent out that have been indicated by council that we should do, noting that we did have a response from the Minister for Climate Action, Energy and Resources that arrived late last week in response to our letter about the consultation pertaining to AEMO's VNI West project, and that they certainly acknowledged the feedback that we provided around good consultation being undertaken for that project, Mayor.
Thank you. Council's got a recommendation that council note the record of correspondence initiated by council and the responses received. Mover for that.
Another question, please.
Certainly, Councillor Milne.
So, just a clarification from the CEO. In that response, was there anything to do with the request to suspend the installation, which is the second?
Through the Mayor, my recollection is no, that matter was not addressed.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, could I get a mover for that report, please? Councillor Hogan, seconder.
Yeah, happy to do that.
Councillor Milne, all those in favour? Against, that's carried. 7.3, letters of congratulations and recognition of achievement and awards. This office of the CEO again.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, there's, and through you, there's 5 letters of congratulations that have been put forward this month. There's a recommendation from the councillors to acknowledge and congratulate those persons that have been identified in that report, Mayor.
Thank you. Council's got a recommendation that council acknowledge and congratulate the persons and or groups mentioned in the report for their achievements. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Warren and a seconder. Councillor Hogan, you just beat you, David, by just a whisper. Any discussion? Councillor Mill?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, that a wide range of recognition going out in that people that have served in all ways and shapes and forms and achieved good things, which is good to see people from Buloke going out and doing.
Thank you, Councillor Mill. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Thank you. 7.4, building report monthly update, community development. And Mr. Fitzgibbon.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors. This is your standard monthly report providing information on building permits for the month of June for your attention.
Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council note the information contained in the report on building permits approved by staff from 1 June 2023 to 30 June 2023. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Pollard, just not a seconder.
Happy to do that, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Mill. All those in favour? That's carried.
And sheds are back, by the look of it.
Yeah, aren't they? Big way.
Quite for a while in the back.
Have a look at the date.
7.5, planning applications received. Mr. Fitzgibbon, yours again.
Thank you again, Mayor, and through you, councillors. This report provides information on planning applications and consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications.
Thank you. Council's recommendation that council note the information contained in the report on planning applications under consideration by staff and the status of each of these applications. Could I have a mover for those, please? Councillor Hogan and the seconder. Councillor Pollard. No discussion. All those in favour? That's carried. 7.6, status of action of past council meeting. Mr. O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, the standard monthly report that we bring forward, just highlighting actions that have been undertaken on resolutions from previous council meetings. Mayor, there's a recommendation before councillors for their consideration.
Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council note the status of action report for council resolutions documented on the list. Can I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Hogan and seconded by Councillor Warren. All those in favour? General business policy reports and then in instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer. Ms. Steadman, I believe that would be you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, introducing this report to council this evening, which is seeking to amend the existing instrument of delegation to the Chief Executive Officer, as previously adopted by councillors at the 12 October 2022 meeting. The report proposes an amendment to condition 1.2 of the instrument, which will have the effect of streamlining payments up to $1 million only in the instances where council has already resolved to enter a contract by resolution, where required by legislation for a payment to be made, such as the fire services property levy, or for necessary insurances. Instances of payment outside of those parameters will remain subject to the Chief Executive Officer's expenditure delegation limit of $250,000. Thank you, councillors.
Thank you. Councillors have a recommendation that council resolve that there be delegated to the person holding the position of acting or in performing the duties of Chief Executive Officer, the powers, duties and functions set out in the attached instrument of delegated to the Chief Executive Officer, subject to the conditions and limitations specified in that instrument. 2, that the instrument comes into force immediately upon resolution being made and is signed by the Council's Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor. 3, on coming into force, the instrument will all previous delegations to the Chief Executive Officer are revoked, and 4, the duties and functions set out in the instrument must be performed and the power set out in the instrument must be executed in accordance with the guidelines and policies of councils that it may from time to time adopt. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Warren and a seconder. Councillor Hogan. Any discussion? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 8.22, consideration of licence for community engagement Fast Cities Australia Proprietary Limited, trading as EV Networks Donald EV Charging Station. Infrastructure and delivery. I think that may come to you, Mr. McLaughlin.
It does, Mayor. Thank you. And through you, the purpose of the report is to give public notice of proposed licence ahead of grant licence agreement with Fast Cities Australia, trading in EV Networks, part of the land contained in 68A Wood Street, Donald. The installation of the EV charger is a key to the build the Donald Streetscape works and funded through our regions program. EV Networks is proposing to license operate at 68 Wood Street and are seeking a 15-year licence on the premise. The new licence will commence 1 September 2023. Council's leasing and licensing of council's facilities policy provides guidance in relation to the types of agreements and how commercial tenants are considered. Prior to entering into a lease proposed period, we need to undertake a community engagement process in accordance with our adopted policy. And the purpose of this report is for council to confirm its agreement to commence this process. Following the period of community engagement, council will receive a further report and recommendation as the next steps with respect to this lease. Councillors have a recommendation before them for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Council's recommendation that council, in accordance with section 115 of the Local Government Act 2020, gives public notice of the intention to create a licence to Fast Cities Australia Proprietary Limited, trading as EV Networks, for part of the land being Lot 1, Title Plan 174450, contained in the Certificate of Title Volume 9363 and Folio 257, 68A Wood Street, Donald, on the following terms. A 15-year licence commencing the 1st of September 2023, and B, licence fee of 5% of the charging station's net operating income payable in arrears on the anniversary of the commencement date of the term. 3, notes that the public notice shall allow persons to make submission on the proposed licence in accordance with section 115 of the Local Government Act and Council's community engagement policy, and that all written submissions be received by the date that is at least 21 days after the publication of the notice. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to undertake administrative procedures necessary to enable council to fulfil the functions under section 115 of the Local Government Act. And 4, receives a further report to consider granting the licence for Fast Cities Australia Proprietary Limited, trading as EV Networks following the conclusion of the public notice process. Can I get a mover for that, please? Councillor Warren, and a seconder. Councillor Mill. Discussion?
Good to see it happening, Mayor. Thank you.
No worries. Councillor Mill.
Just a question, I guess, is there any indication of what the yearly use might be? Just a indicative figure from other.
From a dollar point of view?
Yeah, I mean, just as part B, a licence for 5%.
Only that I know that current agreements with C rate, albeit different to this proposed agreement where we own those assets and EV Charger, the government that owns them, maintain the assets, and we get a net profit from that. I'm told that profit was approximately $3,000.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions or discussion? Moved by Councillor Warren and seconded by Councillor Mill. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
Another step in the
8.2.3, planning permit application PA 23013, 5-lot subdivision of land at 37 Hannon Street, Sea Lake. Mr. Fitzgibbon.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors, the planning permit application was received by Council on the 25th of January 2023 for a 5-lot subdivision of land and to alter access to a transport zone 2 at 37 Hannon Street, Sea Lake. Proposed subdivision will result in 5 allotments each being of 404 square metres in area. Access proposed for lot 1 will be from Hannon Street, lots 2, 3 and 4 from Torres Street or Coal Highway, and lot 5 from Hugh Street. Councillors, you've got a very thorough report in front of you to make your decision on the recommendation.
Thank you, Mr Fitzgibbon. Council, we have a recommendation that council, having cause notice of a planning application number PA 23013 to be given under section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and or planning scheme, and having consideration for all matters required under section 60 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, decide to issue a notice of decision to grant a permit under the provision of 52.05.5-5 and 52.29-2 of the Buloke Planning Scheme in respect of the land known and described as 37 Street, 6C Lake, Lot 1, Title Plan 21694W, for the 5-lot subdivision of land and alter access to Transport Zone 2 in accordance with the endorsed plans with the application date 25th of the 1st 23, subject to conditions that are attached. I have a mover for that, please. Councillor Warren and Councillor Milne, seconder. Discussion.
See some action there. One of the biggest issues we have, certainly in the Buloke Shire, is the lack of suitable land and housing. So it's good to see something happen. It's not, I suppose, simply community is taking up the government, so it's great.
Thank you. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, this is a great opportunity, I guess, for council to make available land. We're not making it available, but the planning process is making it available for future development. And I guess it also will make Sea Lake happy, and it goes a long way to tidying up that end of town, hopefully in the future. And given the opportunity for housing that will suit that demographic. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, any further comment? Councillor Hogan.
I'm mindful of the objection that was received from the neighbour, but I note from the report that the development has to meet the objectives and standards of clause 4, which includes neighbourhood character, site layout, amenity, and I'm hoping this requirement will address concerns noted in the objection.
Thank you, Councillor Hogan. Any further comment? Moved by Councillor Warren, second by Councillor Milne. All those in favour? Again, that's carried. Thank you. 8.2.4, planning permit application 928-21, use and development of land for service station fuel cell at 2 Campbell Street, Birchip. Mr Fitzgibbon. On your back.
He's also tech. Thank you, Mayor, and through you, thank you, Mayor, and through you, councillors. The planning permit application was received by council on the 30th of May 2021 for the use and development of land for service station fuel cell at 2 Campbell Street, Birchip. The proposal includes a sign and creating new access to Campbell Street. The facility will be unstaffed. Customers will be able to pay their fuel by using the self-service concentrated into the proposed fuel cell. It would be available from 7 AM to 10 PM, 7 days a week. Council issued a notice of decision to refuse the application at the Wednesday 9 February 2022 meeting. The applicant appealed for review of the decision to VCAT. The responsible authority's decision was to set aside, and the matter was remitted to the responsible authority for reconsideration. The application has been re-referred to the relevant authorities, and further public notice has been given. Councillors, you have another very thorough report in front of you, which to make it recommendation.
Thank you, Mr Fitzgibbon. I believe we have some speakers here to speak to this.
We do, Mayor, so they are in the virtual Zoom room. I believe Phil is the wonderful permits talking. Phil, hopefully if you are, I'll ask you to pop your screen. Thank you.
Good evening, Phil, and we're happy to hear your presentation.
Thank you. Just to confirm, are you able to hear me okay?
Yep, hear and see you, all good.
Perfect, thank you. First of all, thank you all for your time, much appreciated. So I'm Phil Harnett, I'm a planner. And also online, we've got Aaron Hasey from Circa Traffic Consultants, Andrew from Perry's Fuel Distributors, and Jess from S&K Planning Lawyers. So I might just suppose give them an opportunity to add something just once I've finished, in case I miss something. So we're in the commercial 1 zone. The purpose of the zone is to reinforce the commercial centre with business activities. The proposal will achieve this and remove the long-standing vacant use of the land. This development will basically contribute to achieving the purpose of the zone. It's as was explained, there's a bit of a history to the application, and we feel that this is a substantial improvement on the previous submission, and I'll go further into that in a moment. But part of that improvement is to the appearance of the land. So the proposal will enhance the appearance of the land with the new building, which is of a suitable, very small scale and suitable to the locality. The applicant also engaged a landscape architect to further enhance the appearance of the land with a mix of attractive species, which will contribute to screening and greening the land. With respect to the amenity of the locality, we're comfortable with all lighting being screened and directed to prevent light spill. No issues with that. Happy with conditions to that effect. The proposal's no longer a 24-hour operation. So the hours of operation have been substantially refined to reduce impact upon the surrounding amenity, particularly residential properties. Noise has been addressed and reviewed by a qualified acoustic engineer. Acoustic barriers are now proposed again to limit the impact upon the interface with residential properties. The traffic movements have been designed by qualified consultants, being Circa. They've also been verified by a separate consultant, being 1 Mile Grid. And I understand that the Department of Transport are actually hold no objection to the proposal either. So vehicle movements are safe, they're convenient, and they provide good sightlines for motorists and pedestrians. Ultimately, the proposal won't have a detrimental effect upon the locality, which is what the zone seeks, and it's a commercial development in line also with what the purpose of the zone is. So we ultimately feel that this is a substantial improvement upon what was previously declined, and we feel that it warrants planning approval. I might just also online, as I said at the beginning, we've just got Aaron Hasey from Circa, Andrew Perry from Perry's Fuel, and Jess from S&K Planning Lawyers. Suppose if they've got anything they'd like to add through the council, of course.
All right, I will allow 3 minutes if you've got anything further on this one between the lot of you, please.
Just briefly, just a couple of things to add on the background of our company, if everybody can hear me clearly.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Look, we're a 74-year-old family-owned company based in regional South Australia. We've got a long history of setting up sites, and fundamentally what this will do will increase competition for both on-road fuel but also bulk fuel to local farmers. To be honest, we get welcomed with open arms everywhere in South Australia that we build them, and we're effectively taking an old neglected Ampol depot and repurposing it for something that is viable and useful in the local community.
Thank you. Anything further to add? No, are you happy? That's fine, thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council, having caused notice of a planning application number 928-21 to be given under the Section 52 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and or planning scheme, and having considered all the matters required under Section 60 of the Planning and Environment Act 1987, decides to grant a notice of decision to grant a permit under provision 34.1-1, 34.1-4, 52.05-11 and 52.29-2 of the Buloke planning scheme in respect to the land known and described as 2 Campbell Street, Birchip, lot 6, 7, 8 and 9, lot plan of 58023 for the use and development of land for a service station, fuel cell, construct and display a business identification sign, and after alter access to Transport Zone 2 in accordance with the endorsed plans with the application dated 13th of the 5th, 2021, subject to the conditions attached herein. I'm looking for a motion for that, please. Councillor Warren and a seconder. Councillor Pollard, discussion. Councillor Warren.
See, the report is very comprehensive. It's had a chance to go through VCAT. My understanding from the planning people is that this site is appropriately zoned for this type of use, and as such, I think we would be derelict in our duty if we did not approve this planning application.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard.
I'd just like to say that with the improvements that they've done, I'll be honest, I supported it last time, but with these improvements, it actually addressed a lot of my concerns that I had with them last time. So I think it's great that it's come back and they've got all these improvements involved.
Thank you. Other councillors? Councillor Mill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, once again, I represent the Sunraysia Highway Improvement Committee, who was negated from commenting verbally at the VCAT hearing the last time around because we're an unincorporated body. We accept that. What we don't accept is that that this location is deemed safe for this type of truck and vehicle movement, given the while it is stated that the sight lines are clear, I would dispute that, and the Sunraysia Highway Committee disputes that, given the corner of the hotel and the need and the actual fact that a lot of trucks come around that corner and end up over the white line. If that occurs at the same time as a truck coming out of the service station, out of the fuel depot, and also being close to the white line, it's terribly dangerous, and I guess that's the concern of that committee, that it being on that highway, that it doesn't necessarily address the issues. Well, there's obviously been a couple of consultants that have put into this. That's well and good, but in actual fact, you know, it's a dangerous intersection. And there has been one further objection to this from a local resident who lives quite within the area there, and her husband is deaf to the point and blind, and representing them. I mean, they just haven't got an opportunity to put one foot wrong if all those vehicles are in that area. So, but I won't be supporting this motion, and I do that for the reasons that I've stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. Councillor Hogan.
I'm not sure if any of the planners that have designed this installation have been there between 3:30 and 4 on weekdays, and the number of school children that actually walk past this area on the way to the main street is substantial. And I think that the fact that this is to be an unmanned facility is quite irresponsible when you consider the amount of foot traffic that does go past, and the ages of the children that use this route to get to the main street. I don't know that there's been substantial changes to the original application that would alleviate my concerns about the safety. On the points that Councillor Milne has stated, the amount of near misses at that intersection and the amount of traffic that uses that intersection at all times of the day, doesn't lend it to another a facility of this kind where you've got large vehicles coming in and out of the corner. There are residential properties in the immediate proximity, and I think we're already well serviced by 3 independent fuel distributors who deliver to the farm, and 1 permanent installation at the north end of Cumming Avenue, which services trucks coming in and out of the town and keeps them away from such a busy corner and pedestrian traffic. So I definitely won't be supporting either.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
I would also like to add that the 5 ways intersection that is there is deemed problematic by the Sunraysia Highway and Rural Roads Victoria, and I don't believe that this amenity will actually improve the facilities, the trading facilities in Birchip.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, right a reply?
Look, I've heard the other councillors, and I mean, whilst I can sympathise, we're treating this on a planning situation, not on an economic development situation, my understanding of these applications. So in terms of competitive things, these are not a consideration. I'd also point out that directly opposite the school, there is a service station, which no doubt the children pass every night to and from school. I don't see much difference between the current setup with that service station and the proximity of the school and safety. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So, councillors, you've heard the recommendation. It's been moved by Councillor Warren and seconded by Councillor Pollard. All those in favour? Against? That's a tie. So using my casting vote, I will not change my original vote, so that's carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I just point of clarification, thank you, Mayor. When you say you are not changing your original vote, if we go back through the record, you'll find that.
Sorry, the original vote from here tonight, the vote that I did just then, Councillor Warren, the current vote. I'm not changing that. I voted for it, and sorry for the misclarification.
I just needed, because I mean, my understanding of the original vote was that you voted against the officer's recommendation.
I did.
Yeah.
8.4.
Mr. Mayor, can I make one comment about this?
Certainly.
On this thing, I commend the planners. I commend the applicant for being consistent and persistent. The only thing I don't like about it is the location. You know, I'm happy that it's got through. I'm not happy that it's, well, I'm not happy that it's got through, but I'm happy that we've had the opportunity twice now to have a say on it. I commend people for wanting to set up business in small country towns and supply. I don't like that location, and I will like to declare a revote, as in a division is what I'm trying to say.
A division, certainly.
Thank you.
Councillor Mills, point of division. So all those in favour? Councillor Pollard, Councillor Warren, Councillor Gentley, and those against will be Councillor Mill, Councillor Hogan, Councillor Simpson. And my casting vote. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just clarify, was that granted a permit?
Yes.
Yes, as recommended.
Yes.
As recommended.
Yes, thank you. I just couldn't quite hear it all, but thank you for that. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time too.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. 8.4 organisational reports. 8.41 Council Plan 2021-25 Year 2 Annual Plan Review. Mr. Fitzgibbon.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Councillor. Tonight we present the final report of Annual 2. The final report highlights the year delivering on the annual plan and the overarching Council Plan 2021-2025. Despite the effects of the October 22 flood event on Council's internal resources and access to expert materials and labour, alternative actions have been deferred due to the impacts of the flood event. The community policy was deemed
It wouldn't
unnecessary.
log in time.
The highlights of the report are the delivery of the agricultural resilience project, continuation of big health local government partnerships, publication of the Long Valley Partnership for Early Childhood Education and Childcare in Rural Areas report, strong increase in tourism marketing projects and 2 revisions of the advocacy strategy. Councillor Sinai, community annual planning year 2 for her.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. Fitzgibbon. Councillor Simpson, could we just put your computer on mute, please? We are getting some feedback through the system here. Thank
Can
you.
do, I think.
So, councillors, we have a recommendation that council note the progress made to deliver the strategic objectives noted in the Year 2 annual plan for the Buloke Shire Council Plan 2021-25. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Pollard and a seconder. Councillor Hogan, discussion. Councillor Pollard.
It's disappointing that the flood slowed us up, but emergency is more important than continuing all the progress.
Thank you. Councillor Hogan.
No.
Any other councillor? Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For you, just a couple of observations, I guess, from my behalf. There's a few things that, and floods, but preface it by saying that the floods and COVID and a whole lot of things, but I just worry that there's a couple of things that have been held over. We have discussed these in the past. As long as we've got people on the ground to be able to deliver, and we are experiencing a run of short staffing. So I hope that you're able to get this all over the line as you plan. I guess I'm a little bit curious in the Wimmera Tourism Department in this section here, section 3.1. Just how it happened, how that's in there and there was no provision made in the budget. And I have requested some written confirmation that $7,500 will be available to the Valley Tourism Board, and that yet hasn't received any confirmation. So that's all I wish to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Milne. Any other councillor comment? And all those in favour? Against, that's carried. 8.5, report from councillors. Councillor Hogan.
My report will be submitted. I just wanted to speak briefly about the AMO information night at Charlton, which was very well attended. And it was very informative, and the staff there were very accommodating, and it's just a shame that level of care and attention to informing the community wasn't sent earlier.
Thank you. Councillor Pollard. Thank you. Councillor Simpson. You're probably on mute now.
Again, apart from the VNI meeting in Charlton, I can't remember what I've done this month, so I will leave it at that.
Thank you. Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's been a number of things on that we've all attended. From my perspective, Grampians forums to further the relationship between Grampians tourism and Wimmera Tourism. Have also had the opportunity to attend the wind-up of Wimmera Regional Library Service, along with our esteemed ex-councillor Tellison, who's been ex-chair of the board. A couple of us were able to pop along to that and wish them all the best in their new venture and how they're going to do it. So, which to me was a bit of a sad day, but that's the way it goes. So, and now the most of the other stuff is at this point in time has been to do with Wimmera Tourism, except for Virtual Forum, which is always lively and watching progress.
Councillor Warren.
Look, I've furnished a report to council. Any comment I've made? I had the pleasure and the honour to chair the Donald Bench AGM the other day, and it never ceases to amaze me the amount of community people who work so hard in a voluntary capacity with no reward, but just the fact that they're there and they do it. I suppose the works that these guys carry out is an absolute, it's a treasure. They put in all day. I mean, I know there is if you like, a mental health side of things and a support side of things, but the good they do in the community is to be commended. And I know the Donald Men Shed's not in isolation. Every town seems to have a men shed and they do fantastic work. And I hope and I know that our staff support those men sheds right throughout the whole Shire, because that's the sort of thing that we need in the Shire. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, I've submitted my report and a written report on the trip to Canberra. Obviously, the trip to Canberra is probably the highlight of the month, and it's good to see that at least some of the people we spoke to have listened. We did have the MAV through our Shire Monday week ago, inspecting roads under the betterment program, and we'll continue to push that. So the work that CEO and Joe Postlethwaite and myself did in Canberra has obviously been listened to, which is great, and hopefully we can get some financial outcomes out of that. But my report has been sent in. Thank you. 9, other business. 9.1, notice of motions. I have nil. 9.2, questions from councillors. Are there any?
I will ask one question if I can, Mr. Mayor.
You certainly may.
And I guess it's to do with the community grant scheme. And I've expressed some concern over the last couple of days that the application forms aren't readily available again for those, and it's been explained why. I guess from my point of view, I just would think that business as usual until we make a decision. I'm not against a review of that community grants program. I just think that probably it could take some time to do that review, and that that program should be reinstated to run, and then when and if changes are made, or if there's deemed to be no changes made, that if there's changes that they be put into place at that time. But communities telling me that they've got applications ready if they want to go. So I'm just suggesting that from my point of view, I would like to see it reinstated. And I guess that's not just my opinion, or it is my opinion, but it's not just my decision. So put that out there for a discussion.
Thank you.
Not so much here, but
through the Mayor, at briefing next week, the matter will be discussed and a number of options will be presented to councillors for their consideration.
Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions? Urgent business, we have none. Any other business? We have none. Matters which may exclude the public, we have none. Which brings us to item 10, meeting closed. So I'll declare the meeting closed, and thank you for your attendance and your deliberations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors.
Thank you and good night.